Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Weather Monkey. Right now, I'm sitting on US Highway 63 between the Iowa border and New Hampton, Iowa. There are a few storms developing out in the central part of Iowa, northern Iowa, and they are moving easterly as they develop. I'd like to welcome everybody to my stream. I know I talked on my last stream and the stream before that about having a power supply to my laptop because it kept losing more of a charge than it was getting. And then it would run down to about 10%, and then it would cause the stream to glitch. It was obviously a battery saver mode. I figured the problem out. The charging cable, along with the charger itself, would not put out enough wattage to allow the laptop with the applications running on it to keep up. So I now have a new charging block thanks to my brother-in-law, and I think it's 140 watt. A lot of them you see are 25 watt, 50 watt. This charging block is 140, and it does keep up. I tested everything for about 12 hours the other day, and it did seem to keep the charge on the laptop with all the software running. So I'm going to head north towards the Iowa-Minnesota border. There is a storm, as you can see, up in the upper left-hand corner of the stream, the radar map in the stream. You can see that storm that's been developing for about 3 hours, and now it's starting to pick up a little bit of energy and starting to move towards me. It's sliding a little south, but it's moving east. So I'm going to head up north on US Highway 63. I'm just a few minutes north of where it goes from 4-lane to 3-lane. I gotta speed up here a little bit because the car that's coming up behind me had its turn signal on, and then after I pulled out, it turned the turn signal off for some reason. So if you look at my side view here in a second, when we get a clear area where there aren't any trees, you will be able to see some thunderheads out there starting to develop and move eastward. I am the Weather Monkey. I hope everyone is enjoying the beginning of their week and this Monday afternoon. I left the house today about right around 11 and drove down to New Hampton, Iowa. I came through Decorah and then I cut over to New Hampton. And I hung around New Hampton for about an hour waiting for things to develop. And now that they're developing, I'm just going to stay in this area for a while, going north and south depending on what I need to do. There were some storms in Minnesota last night, up near the Twin Cities. A few of them did go severe for hail, not so much wind. And then this morning I was woke up by a line of moderate thunderstorms that moved through. Kind of slipped to the south of where I live. But there was a lot of thunder. So obviously there was some lightning. But the storm did, like I said, slip through where I was at to the south. So we get a little farther north up here, we'll get in the path of that thunderstorm that's developing. Of course, it's the type of time of day where people are getting off work and schools are letting out, so the buses are running. So that's an extra thing to keep an eye on. So I'm heading north, like I said, on US Highway 63. I'm not exactly sure where this highway starts. If it's in Louisiana, and it runs up through Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, into Minnesota, and then it ends up in Wisconsin, I believe. Actually been a while since there's been some decent storms in this area to chase. Like I said, I did go out for a little bit last night, but it's dark and there wasn't a whole lot of lightning, so I never went live. This guy behind me is kind of in a hurry. I'm going 3-4 miles over the speed limit, so he wants to go faster than that. He can pass me. So here's what it looks like out the front. Pretty much blue skies, a little bit of low clouds. But the main storm, like I said, is off to the west and just to the north. Was that a Raptor? I think it was. F-150 Raptor. Like I'm about, I don't know, 15 miles, 20 miles from the state line. So up here somewhere, I'm going to have to make a left turn and go towards the storm. It's hanging just south of Interstate 90, so can't jump on Interstate 90. runs into maybe the Cedar River and then runs into the Iowa River. Just guessing, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm 223 miles from the Missouri-Iowa border, northbound. So that kind of gives you an idea where I am. You know, you run through a state like Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, and it's a long drive through those states. You get into Iowa and it's, 250 or so miles? It's like 3.5, 4 hours on the interstate system. You're through the entire state going north-south. But a lot of corn's starting to turn brown, and soybeans they're not green anymore. They're yellowish, and they're starting to turn brown. So the fall season is definitely upon us. Trees are starting to change a little bit. Some of the weaker trees that aren't so quite as strong and as healthy as they should be started churning about 2 weeks ago. But for the most part, most of the hardwoods are still leafed out and still green. Make a left turn up here. It's a state road 9, and we'll head west. And then when we come back, we'll head east, of course, and we'll end up going through Cresco, Iowa, probably over to Decorah. As you can see off in the distance, there's a pretty good thunderhead, and there's also one off. I don't know if my camera will pick it up or not. There's also one off to the south of us. Let's see. It's a pretty wide angle lens. You can see some of it. We better concentrate on what's coming up here though, because it's a oversized load. So you want to give them plenty of room. But like I said, storms are developing to the north and west of me. And this one is developing to the south of me also. But those storm tops aren't that high yet on the one to the south of me. And it's got a little bit of rain coming out of it, but not much. Straight ahead, basically, is the storm that we're going to catch up to. Or it's coming to us. We're going to meet up with it. And if you could hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. As you can see on my title, I am the weather monkey. I basically chase storms in northern Iowa, Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin. I live northwest of La Crosse, Wisconsin, on the Minnesota side, a town called Winona, which is a tough place to be to watch storms because the Mississippi River Valley has bluffs on each side 550, 600 feet high, and you really don't get a perspective of what's coming at you until it's pretty much right on top of you if you stay in the valley. So if you want to watch storms, you gotta get out of the valley, and then it's hit and miss because there's a lot of trees. Get a better picture of that storm to the south of me. Take my radar and move it so you can see the bottom of it. Spot of red to the south is that storm on the radar. Even the storm that we're heading for is starting to make a turn to the south also. There was some forecasts for some complex to develop along the I-90 corridor, but after the rain last night that came through and early this morning kind of took the energy away, so I decided to just go a little farther south, stay south of Interstate 90, and I think it was the right decision. On when I took my walk this morning. It was quite cool. Although the humidity you could still feel in the air. So, although it seemed quite cool, it was still damp. Sometimes that's worse. Having that damp air. because I'm not on 63 anymore. Raindrops. There's a good place to park right next to the propane tank, right? High spot coming up here. I think I'll go up to the high spot and then pause for a little bit. See if we can get any definition in them clouds that are moving this way. Well, we're 10 miles from the Iowa-Minnesota border. Although we are heading westbound. I'm sure it's still State Road 9. Actually, it looks like a smaller community coming up. I can't see the name of it. It's hard to read when you're driving, and then you don't want to get distracted either. It starts with an R. That's all I can see right now. Nice little bike path on the left-hand side of the road. We'll turn off here and then I'll turn around and face the other direction. Driveway up here. I can turn around. get turned around here and get back up. Up to the corner up here. So that storm's still about 10 miles. Still about 10 miles to the east. Or to the west, excuse me. But there is some of the top of the storm being blown off and sending some sprinkles this way. So over the last hour, that storm has only moved 20 miles maybe. And it might not be a bad idea to head west a little farther, or at least until we can get some definition on the storm. There's no point in chasing a storm if you can't get any definition on the clouds. I think the town's called Riceville. That's just to my west. Thanks for chiming in, Derek. Yeah, I think I'll go a little bit farther west. I can always come back, and the storm's moving slow enough that you can get right up to the storm, turn around and head out away from it, and unless it picks up speed, it's not going to catch you. And there's no big towns to get caught in. So we'll head west. Like I said, you can't see much ahead of me. Watching, don't forget to hit that like button, because without hitting that like button, there's no more views. YouTube will not push a feed out unless it has likes. Every town has a Dollar General now. Glad I slowed down. The county sheriff's sitting there. never purposely speed anyways. I don't worry about getting caught purposely speeding, because I never do. It's when some reason I unintended to speed. Is when I get caught. Riceville, Iowa. Gas price back there, it's $2.99 for 87 octane, which is pretty close to everywhere else. Down in New Hampton it was $3.09, and over in Decorah it was $3.09 too, I believe. I filled up this morning and it was $2.89, but I get a 20% or 20-cent discount per gallon, so it was basically $2.70. And I average about 32 miles a gallon on the highway, so it's not too bad. Okay, I just saw some lightning. Really, there's not a whole lot of traffic on these roads. I thought this time of day they'd be pretty busy. To the north there, northwest, there is some more development, but it's got a long ways to go. Because the road's closed. I don't see a mailbox. For some reason they got guardrails up. For some reason, if you haven't noticed, my camera likes to work its way to the left. Let's see if I can fix that. like we might be chasing that storm as it slides south, which is okay. I don't mind it as long as there's some detail. Kind of looking back at the other one starting to develop. There's another storm developing behind this one. Actually, it's kind of grown into this one here, so we'll have to wait and see. But if nothing else, we can turn around and we can go back after the one to the south. So we kind of got three storms going here. And I don't know what my radar just did, but I'll have to fix it. It went full screen. Let me see if I can find a way to... There it goes. Now we'll get it back. See, there's that storm on the other side of the Mississippi River in Wisconsin. Looks like it's... Prairie du Chien, maybe? And... Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. And here it is where we're at. So that's the storm in Wisconsin, Prairie du Chien area to the east of there. And we're over here. Give you an idea where we're at. We're pretty much between Austin New Hampton and Mason City. We're about 10 miles, maybe 15 miles into Iowa off the Minnesota border. It is sprinkling here. It's the blow off the top of the thunderstorm. We'll keep an eye on that one just directly to the south of me. It looks like it's starting to increase in intensity. We may just turn around and go back that way. Because I'm not going to drive into the storm if you can't see any lightning or any definition of the storm. Yeah, Diamond Don, I see that there is some pretty good size hail in southwest Wisconsin. I'm not surprised. Normally, if I wake up in the morning and there's going to be storms in the upper Midwest, it's just an automatic given. Southwest Wisconsin, Platteville, Lancaster, over to Janesville, up to Madison. Normally, that's a given over there. I was, is it Sauk City on Highway 12? I was over there in, was it July? When they had that remnants of that low pressure system move out of South Dakota and redevelop in the afternoon the next day and spawned a couple tornadoes. If you go back and look at my feeds, I actually I was on that tornado near Sauk City. Got pretty close to it, probably within a quarter mile. But yeah, southwest Wisconsin. Chance of severe storms, it's pretty much a given that they're going to happen over there. But I thought I'd start out over here west and then move east. The only problem is, to get across the river, I'd have to go all the way down to Dubuque or up to La Crosse, because I believe the bridge crossing at Lansing is closed for 2 years. It could still be open, but I don't think it is. I heard a lot of talk in August they were going to close it shortly after Labor Day. Looks like there's a fire out across that field. Looks like it could be 10 miles away. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. I don't think you can see it on the camera. Let's see. Should be right in the center of the screen. You can see just a little bit of smoke coming up. If I try to get closer, it's gonna, my graphics are gonna get in the way. Raise the camera here a little bit. See it right there? That's a fire. You know, there was a lightning strike over there a little earlier. Interesting. I have to assume it's a fire. There's no lowering over there. It can't be a ground spout. And the fact that the wind is out of the south. So I'm pretty positive that's something burning. But interesting. And of course over here's that northern end of that storm that's developing. See if I can move my camera far enough over. There, now we're in the trees. So there is some more development. It's just, I think it's going to be overtaken by the storm that's already developed. Must have been a short fire because all that smoke is gone. So I don't know what it was. Like I said, I haven't been doing this long enough to determine if that was a ground spout or what, but it's kind of odd that it just was there and then it was gone. Well, I guess we could go up a few more miles. In about 2 or 3 miles, this road drops south for about 2 miles and then heads west again. Because that's basically where the storm is going. It's going more southeast now than it is east. So it's kind of made a left-hand turn. There's a car coming here. We'll wait for it to go by. Believe it or not, the dealership on the plate, that's a newer vehicle. And the plate, the dealership, you know how they put the name of the dealership over the plates? The dealership is near where I live. So somebody's either doing a trade or somebody went up there and bought that vehicle. So we'll head this way a little farther. Kind of make it so my camera can't keep working its way over there. It's wanting to make its way to the right. Up to the left. Wants to work its way to the left. So we'll keep going this way. We'll make that left turn up here, and then we'll get a good view of what's going on back to the east of us also. Here comes a big piece of equipment. Got to the north. Let me get the color or the shutters a little bit tighter so it's not so bright. But I don't think any of that's going to develop to anything. So we'll go back over here. And like I said, we need to go back east, we can go back east. go a few miles here, and then we'll go back west again. over towards Hampton. It's a nice new bridge. Now we're probably going to come into the rain a little bit more. is I have purchased new tires less than a month ago. So there can be a little ponding and it'll be fine. Okay. Highway 218. I think that comes out of Austin, maybe? But it goes to Charles City, and I think that's where we're going to go. To the west of us. Up here a little farther, I'll stop by that. This tower up here and see what this storm wants to do, because I actually think it's starting to weaken a little. window, and the window's full of raindrops. So all you're going to see is a distorted picture. Okay, we're entering Floyd County on US Highway 218. Rain again. I think we're coming up on Charles City. Or close to it. You know, when you're getting near a populated area, when you see nurseries with, trees and sod and potted plants and stuff like that. So I'll get up here a little farther and then I'll turn to the right. That's an intersection up here. We're almost to what they call the Saints Highway. Connects St. Louis, St. Paul, and actually goes down as New Orleans. Nolens. Is that how they say it? Narlands. So. That storm to the east of us is just crossing Highway 63. This storm here is starting to develop a little bit of a southern flank. It's starting to pull that storm in behind it. But like I said, we'll get up here a little farther and I'll see if I can make a right. Okay, there's nobody behind us, so I can start slowing down. See if there's a place I can turn off with a view. Public access, 1 mile. Well, so I'm going to make a left turn here. And then I'm going to wait for this car to go by and make sure he's not turning in. And then I'm going to turn around. There's must be something down this road. There's a lot of power going down it. I'll get turned around here before it rains on us. And there's a little bit of a shelf cloud starting to develop. Get a little bit farther back. Try to minimize the effects of that tree. Lighten the stream up a little bit. It's starting to build a little bit of a shelf cloud. Says I can't find my location. Let's see what we can do about that. No, we're not in New Hampton, Iowa. No location found. Well, the stream's still running, so let me see if I can find another. See, I have two phones in here and my Apple Watch that it should be able to ping the location off of. So let me move this around a little bit. What's this one say? Well, it gives you a street, but it's not going to help us any. Well, St. Floyd? Guess we'll have to leave it as it is. Now my Apple Watch is saying the same thing. So, it found our location, but it doesn't tell you where. Somewhere in Iowa. 130th Street, St. Floyd. So there must be the city of St. Floyd nearby. Although I don't see it. There's a Floyd. It's just south of here. Oh, 130th Street, Floyd. Floyd, Iowa. A little slow on that, wasn't I? So there is some lightning in there. I can hear the thunder. Yeah, I'm just north of Charles City, Iowa, near a small town called Floyd. And like I said, this storm is starting to intensify now. Kind of weakened for a little bit as we were driving over here. But now it's starting to intensify. There's a pretty good rain curtain out front of this. That's why we're having a hard time seeing any definition. I can move this back over here. If anybody wants to know what software I'm using, it's called eCam. It's built for Macintosh, for Macs. And I really like it. It's very easy to use. You can move things around. You can size things. I've got 3 cameras running on it. got a front camera, rear camera, and a wireless camera. I have an iPhone that I use, and it automatically connects to the software. So, if you are new, this is the Weather Monkey, and I'd appreciate it if you would like, and if you can subscribe, that'd be even better if you haven't already. I am just north of Charles City, Iowa, on 130th Street, near the town of Floyd. I am watching. It's somewhat of a shelf cloud or a wall cloud pushing over there to my left. So we'll sit here for a while, keep an eye on it. The storm was moving east, and then all of a sudden, about 20 minutes ago, half hour ago, it decided to make a right hook and turn south, which doesn't surprise me. There is a cold front to the northwest, not really cold, but drier air to the northwest, up into Minnesota. So that's pretty much what's triggering this system. There is another storm to the east, about 20 miles. And then, of course, there's a bigger system over in southwest Wisconsin. And I think it just moved to the north of Prairie du Chien, and that's been moving slow too. That's been there since about, well, it was along the river, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota river, border on the Mississippi River, and it sat there for 2 hours at least, and now it's starting to move towards Platteville. And I've been to Platteville to watch storms a couple times. Matter of fact, I bought some floor mats for my Bronco Sport. They were on Marketplace on Facebook, and they were in Platteville, and I'm like, oh heck, I'm going to go there in a couple days, probably storm chasing. So when I got to Platteville, I notified the guy and asked him if he still had them, and he did. And told him I'd meet him at the Quick Trip. Looks like the storm's starting to develop some scud over there. You can see it right there. But the angle that's moving, we can probably get over there and get right under that. It is in the sweet spot of the storm, too. So when it goes behind those trees, we might just run over there. Should we pull up a little bit so we can see it some more? A little closer? Let's head down the road a little bit farther south. Kind of get out in front of that. We're going to lose our storm in the camera, but we'll gain it back in a minute. The storm is to my left. Or, excuse me, the storm is to my right. There is another storm to the left, but it's having a hard time getting going. If I can get the camera over there. With the sun the way it is, it doesn't work too favorable with the camera. Get up here another mile or so and then we'll reposition. Yeah, the road's pretty much dry right here. I can see the new raindrops on it. That's about it. Find a spot here where I can pull over and face west and not have a bunch of trees in the way. I know that's asking a lot. Must be a river right through here somewhere. Normally this would all be farm fields. Okay, we're kind of going to turn into it here, it looks like. Perfect. Okay. Looks like we're coming up on a town, which means trees. Yeah, this is Floyd. Cedar River. So, let's slow down here, get through this town, and then we'll be able to pick that storm back up again. My vehicle, it's a Ford and it has what they call Copilot 360, and I really, really like it. Because when I'm chasing a storm and I come up on a little town, I don't necessarily see all the signs. And all I have to do is look at my instrument cluster and it will say the speed limit that I'm supposed to be going. So if I'm going through there and it's like, oh wow, I need to slow down. It says 25. And normally I see the sign and I do slow down, but every once in a while, it can catch you off guard. Okay, there's a Love's right here. We'll pull into Love's and we'll view this storm from here. So let me get turned around here. This is my number 2 choice for convenience stores. Of course, my number 1 choice is Quick Trip, KWIKTRIP, or Quick Star in states other than Minnesota and Wisconsin. Okay. I guess if it hailed, we wouldn't have a problem, would we? I'm trying to get there it is, the right contrast. Yeah, this storm has totally reconstructed itself. It was moving east and now it's moving south. Barely moving east. So 18 east is 4-lane through here. I've never been over here. But 18 east, it's 4-lane right here, but I bet it doesn't take long. Get past Charles City. Maybe, well, it does stay on 218. So 218 and 18 are the same road. And I don't really want to go to Waterloo. So I'll probably go to St. Charles and then cut straight east over to New Hampton. Back where I was when I started. So let me see if well, it's kind of fading now. I was going to say, let me see if my remote camera, which is the iPhone, does a better job at picking up the gray tones in the clouds. Yeah, maybe a little. That's a little better. Only problem is I'm holding it. So if I want to do something, I gotta move it. Like turn the wipers on. Right now I'm just setting it on my steering wheel. That's what we got to the south. So gas is $2.69 here at this Love's. That's about what I buy it for in town, in Winona. But I don't. It's been so long since I've actually used a credit card to buy gas, or a debit card to buy gas. I don't even know how to do it. I have an app for the Quick Trip and the card, of course, and I have a app for Sinclair. So I think I just caught some lightning out of my corner of my eye. But everything's starting to turn gray here now. So that means the rain's starting to come down pretty good. And it looks like that lowering that we saw earlier is pretty much almost right on top of me. So as you can see, from what we started with till now, that storm is pretty much just flattened out east to west. And it's pretty much moving straight south now, which is totally different from where it was 2 hours ago. But right now I am using my iPhone. I can't get my camera at that angle. So I took it off the stand, and basically you're just using the camera, my iPhone camera. Now that tornado I picked up in Sauk Center in July, I did that too. I grabbed my iPhone, which is wireless, and used it to record some of that tornado. But you know, you get over in here and it's a lot of rain, so you're not going to see anything with any detail. So I'm going to put my camera back on its stand. Keep an eye on that there. So it looks like just a lot of heavy rain. Doesn't seem to be any wind. Looks like I need to go a little farther south. Over to Charles City, and then go through Charles City and head back over to New Hampton. So that's what I'll do. Towards Charles City, southeast, and then we'll cut over rather than going all the way down to Waterloo. See if we can get out in front of this rain a little bit. I just have to remember which exit to get off at. If I don't, I will end up in Waterloo. Maybe I'll stop and get some, because I've got 25 cents off a gallon coming from Quick Trip, and I never buy Quick Trip gas in town because I get it cheaper at the Sinclair. But if I'm on the road like this, it makes sense to buy it at that price. type of thunderstorm complex going. Maybe once or twice more at the most. Of course, farther south we go, the more activity there will be. For every goose I've seen since yesterday morning. Never seen so many geese. They're like every place there's open water. Kind of becoming a menace. I know where I live, there's two lakes. There's an east lake and a west lake. And the West Lake, you can't have dogs on the walking paths. Or the East Lake, you can't have dogs. The West Lake, you can have dogs. And there's never a problem with the geese on the West Lake. Where you can't have dogs on the East Lake, it's, I don't know, they poop all over the bike path, the walking path, and they just make a mess out of everything. Somebody needs to go out there in the spring before they lay their eggs and eliminate a few of them, so the rest of them get the message. You're not welcome here. Then you see people get out of their cars and they walk up with a bag of old bread and they start feeding them, and they're like, oh, we get to feed the geese. Isn't that nice? The geese are so hungry. That's the worst thing you can do. It's actually not good for the geese either, because it can cause issues with their development and causes a problem with one of their muscles in their wings, so they can't fly. And it's like, it doesn't happen on every one of them, but if it's 1 in 50, that's still a lot. Okay, there's the Quick Trip. Yeah, and they want more for their fuel, so I'll pass on it. I can buy it cheaper at home. I should go in there though. Add another one to my list. Last year I had almost 100 Quick Trips. You know what? I have to use the bathroom anyways, so I think I will go in. It's a new one too. Oh, excuse me. Here I go again. It's not a Quick Trip. It's a Quick Star. So, well, I can park right up there. Unless that person steals my spot. Nope. Good. Rockstar parking. So I'll go in here and I'll take my card with me this time. I don't want to take my phone. So I'll go in here and then I'll be back out in a few minutes. Hopefully everything will be still running while I'm in there. I'll be right back. got the door open quick. Sometimes when it's raining, you go to unlock the door with the passcode on the side, and I mean it works, but you got to be a little bit more precise. Well, I was going to buy a Snickers ice cream bar, but they didn't have one, believe it or not. So I got some buffalo chicken, which is good. I like it. I don't see anybody behind me, but okay. So in a clearing behind the storm, you can see the blue sky. But we're going to head east. Never been any reason. Whoop, I better not say too much. I might get copyrighted. Head east as in direction. For you to think about me. Anybody with any age on him knows that song. So junction 18, but east 18, 18 west. I'm confused here. I'm going east. So how can east 18 be over here? I'm just going to go by what they tell me, I guess. It says east 18 on the sign around the corner. Take another piece of chicken here while I'm waiting. So I think east must go left here and cross the river, and then actually go east. It's kind of a long light for size of town. Well, I'm waiting. About time. There's 2 lanes here. Oh, save 10 minutes by making it through that light. street in around the corner. I wonder when they started. The reason I say that is they started putting a new street in first in April. They started cutting the trees down. They had it all tore up before the first week of May. The street is still not finished. There hasn't been anybody around for over a week to even work on it. They ran the curbing. They replaced the storm sewer, the city's, the city storm sewer. They replaced the sanitary sewer. They replaced the water lines. And it's taken them 4 months. And they still haven't gotten it done yet. They put the curbing in, and like I said, they did that over a week ago, and they haven't been back since. And then the curbing, they didn't even put it back where the original street was. They took, like I have a 6-foot parkway or boulevard, wherever you want to call it. And now I only have about 3 feet. So they took half of it away. And on the other side of the street, they gave them 3 feet. So now they have 9 feet. It's a fairly busy road. So, it'd be nice to have that extra 3 feet of buffer that they took away. So we'll head east here. Try to get out in front of the rain. I need to put my cruise control on, because if I don't, I have a tendency to go a little faster than I want to. Plus, with the cruise control on, the vehicle will technically steer itself. Don't hold on to the steering wheel. It'll tell you you need to hold on to it. So between the speedometer, or the symbol in the dash telling you how fast you're going, shows the road sign. Between that and the lane keeping, that's kind of a nice option. I know I haven't said this in a while, but I am the weather monkey. If you haven't liked my stream, I would appreciate it if you did. That way it gets pushed out and more people have the opportunity to watch it. And I've explained this before. I am retired. I have no intentions of making a living off chasing storms. So I do this as a hobby because I like doing it. Some people, they get up every morning and they have to go find a storm to chase, because that's how they make their living. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's not why I'm out here. As long as I can get out, chase a storm somewhere, be back home before 1 in the morning, get in bed, get a good night's sleep, get up by 8:39. That's all I ask for. As long as I'm on the walking path by 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's great. I retired 2 years ago. I had a lawn service and a snow removal business. I really enjoyed the lawn service part of the business, not so much the snow removal. When I got into the snow removal, I didn't expect the people to be so as impatient as they were. There's this company that ruined it for everybody. It's called FedEx. You mean I can have that overnight? Well, FedEx come along. Everybody's got that I can get it tomorrow mentality, or I need it right now. I remember back in the day when I was in printing, a customer would come in and they'd be like, well, you think you can have it within the next week? And the person behind the counter would usually say, yeah, it's Tuesday. Why don't you check back with us on Thursday or Friday? We'll let you know if we're going to have it done. Oh, okay, thank you. Well, they come in the next Monday. You have my order ready? Yeah, we got it done. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy. I got it done in time. Well, yeah, because they dragged their feet for a month before they brought the project to us. Nowadays, somebody comes into a print shop and orders. They want it by, if it's in the morning, they want it by the end of the day or the next day. I gotta have it for this event we're gonna have in 2 days, and I gotta mail them yet. Whatever, a flyer or something. And you look at them and I'm like, and when did you find out you had to have this project done? Oh, like 2 months ago, and you're bringing it to us 3 days before the event, and you have to mail them. So, I mean, that happens more often than I want to even think of. So, back to the snow plowing. People would call you, like, hey, it's stopped snowing. Where are you? So, you're not the only one I'm plowing snow for, This isn't FedEx. The best one, though. The best one was when people would call you, never on a 1 or 2 inch snowfall. They didn't care. They had to go somewhere. They just backed right out over the snow and go somewhere. Even 3 inches or 4 inches, But when it got up to a foot and a half, then everybody would call. I actually had one customer called me, when are you going to be here? And I'm like, well, because you woke up and looked out the window and it's not snowing. Doesn't mean it wasn't snowing at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. It just finished. And they'll be like, well, I got a doctor's appointment. And of course you feel bad, You're like, oh, well, okay, I'll drop what I'm doing at this townhome association where I got 40 driveways to do. And we'll be over there to take care of your driveway. So you go over there and you plow their driveway out, and of course, that's a nice strike of lightning. You get it done and you leave. You don't really sit around and wait and see if the people actually leave or not. You got other things to do. But anyways, you leave and you go to a few other places, and then you go by, say, Target, and there's their car sitting at Target. It's like a survival mentality. I think some people actually think that if there's snow on the ground, they have to get out. And of course, they have to get to Target to get who knows what. But I thought they were going to the doctor. Now, I have had customers that were on dialysis, and I call them the night before or talk to them, and hey, you need to get out at a certain time of the day. You let me know when you need to leave, and I'll be there. That's a totally different story if somebody's on dialysis or going to the doctor for a certain reason that they gotta be there. I had no problem. I'd get up in the middle of the night at 2 in the morning out of a dead sleep to do it for them. And be happy to do it for them. But the people who want to get to Target, yeah, I wasn't too happy with that. So, but that was my snow removal end of the business. Now the lawn service, other than rain and breakdowns, that was great. I think maybe out of the 25, 30 years, I don't remember. Time flies when you're having fun. Out of the 30 years I plowed snow, 30 years I cut grass, I'll say this, out of the 20 years I plowed snow, I didn't want to do it every time. It was like, oh God, now I gotta go plow snow at 2 in the morning, But cutting grass, there may have been 2 days out of 30 years I woke up and was like, I really don't want to go cut grass today. And those were near when I was going to retire, when my arthritis was bothering me and I couldn't get from the truck door to the trailer and on the lawnmower. I was so sore. But other than that, I enjoyed it. Once you're on the mower, it doesn't make, if you got arthritis in your knees and stuff, once you're on the mower, it didn't really bother you. So, but I tell you, a couple times getting from that truck to the mower was not a pleasant sight. And of course, I finally broke down and I went and saw the right doctors, and they gave me medication for it, and I was fine. It went away. I still take the medication, obviously, but I don't have a problem with it. And it's not affecting my liver to the extent that anybody's got to worry about. The medicine affected me. So, in that situation, it's a win-win for me. about 2 hours ago. So we'll see how close we can get to that storm over there. I noticed a couple good bolts of lightning. Some medications I was taking, and it seemed to help. So we're going to run straight through New Hampton. There's no reason to go north. There's nothing happening to the north, but we're going to run straight through New Hampton and probably end up in Kalmar, is it? And then see what the weather's doing from there, and either continue over towards Prairie du Chien or head back up north, depending on what the storm situation is. So I hope everybody is enjoying their Monday evening. I know it's kind of becoming a bummer. The days are getting shorter. Well, after 6:15 today, the days are getting shorter because I believe fall started. So this will be our first evening of the days shorter than the nights. now the nights are longer than the days. Some pretty good sized raindrops starting to drop, but we'll get through here and head east some more, and maybe some more stuff will develop as we head east. I kind of like chasing in the dark, because you get to observe all the lightning, but then it's kind of a bummer too, because you can't see the storms. I guess I'm having a hard time trying to figure out why there's all these stoplights. Let's hope they all stay green. going on behind us either. The storm behind us is actually the one we were over by Charles City is actually starting to die out. Houses around here. I have noticed that. This is the one with I went by here earlier and one of them had 4 attached garages. Driving along, you know, looking at the clouds, and all of a sudden I start slowing down. Then my vehicle starts braking. And there's a car up in front of me, of course, slowing down, but I don't think I really needed to brake. So I had to put my foot on the accelerator to basically tell the vehicle I'm in control. Here's what it looks like to the north. Kind of interesting. Then we got the rain curtain up here on the storm. To our south and east. You can definitely see where the inflow is on that storm. And the rain curtain. see some lightning in there too if you look real close. Another 10-15 minutes, you'll be able to see even more of it. I said, I don't mind chasing at night. It's just you can't really see anything. You get to watch the lightning. Get a little uptick with the sun setting. We're coming through the town of Lawler, Iowa. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not. I sure hasn't. But that storm to the south of us now is starting to look a little interesting. Now that we're heading northeast. South or move the camera. There's just not much happening out the left window. That's what I'll do. I'll just stop up here in a clear spot. reposition the camera from the left window to the right window. Well, doesn't seem to be working now. It's just black. There's my rear camera. There it goes. So that's what I'm looking at. And I can keep that on there like that for now. Like I said, I could do it while I'm driving, but no, I don't want to. Knowing my luck, I'd end up in about an 8-foot ditch. Okay. Push south. That storm that was back over Floyd, Mason City, the back end of it is redeveloped. up and the sun starts setting, a lot of times these storms will intensify a little bit. It's about that time. It's sunset. Move my radar so you can see it a little better. Going to kind of lose it here because we're heading northeast. If I can get it on the back camera, I'll turn it on the back camera. County road south, I'll take that. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it, and hit that like button. Keeping an eye on these storms to the north. Or I shouldn't say storms, although there is some rain falling out of them, the clouds. Keeping an eye on them and seeing what they do. With sun setting, they could fire off. They can do two things. They can fire off, or they can just fall apart. In a couple minutes there'll be a road that heads south. couple of these storms that, or cloud complexes that are developing to the north, would start producing. Because I think everything's sliding this way. I literally got lightning in front of me, lightning to the south of me, and lightning to the behind me, to the rear. I believe there's a road that goes south up here. Got a detour. Let's see what the sign says. County 14. German American Museum, St. Lucas, 5 miles. Let's see what happens here. Well, we can always go this way. Can always come back. Pretty rough. I notice the wind is also shifted. Sorry for the vibration in the camera, but this road is really bad. I am the weather monkey. I started storm chasing last summer, so this is my second year. And if you have just joined me, that like button, I'd appreciate it. And if you could subscribe, that'd be even better. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit subscribe and hit that, click on that bell, so if I go live again, you know when I go live. Like I was talking earlier, I do this as a hobby. I have no monetary gain out of it. I've been told I should open up a account with Patreon, but I don't know. I suppose if somebody wanted to pay for my gas, that'd be okay, but I'm not worried about it. I enjoy doing it. It's a hobby. And I don't feel like I get up every morning obligated to go chase storms. Come out on 150 somewhere. I've gone to Cedar Rapids from Minnesota quite a few times. Always taken, well, Minnesota 43 to basically 52 to 150, and then 150. I believe that goes all the way to Cedar Rapids. Just sprinkling enough to have my wipers on. Want you to stay in this town for as long as you can. Hawkeye? Never heard of Hawkeye. Not saying I've never heard of it, but it is Iowa. I'm sure there's a town called Hawkeye. Kind of down in a valley. We'll get back up here and see how we're doing with that storm. tonight. Come out of these fields full of mud. And another spot. Actually better on the south side of that town. I think pretty soon we're just going to simply run out of daylight. Probably run into 18 again. But that storm there is still producing some good lightning. So I got a storm off to my left and my right producing lightning, kind of between them both. I think I probably wanted to turn back there. I don't really think I want to go any farther south, because I can run off my right camera if I want. So I think I'll turn around, head back the other direction, and go to West Union. Looks like a good spot to turn around right here. So here's what it looks like to the north. As you can see, adjust my camera a little. There are some clouds up here, but I don't think they're gonna amount to anything. Just leftover moisture. This way, and I'll switch cameras if we can't see any light here. If anybody's ever, not so much right here, but a little bit farther east, panned in these shallow streams for flower gold. You know, someplace where you work all day, you come up with a little vial with gold in it, and it's worth about $10. That's the type of panning I'm talking about. Because the glacier pushed down gold deposits, and then it melted, and then it carried it into the streams in this area. And there's not much, but there is. Like I said, you might find $10 worth working all day. You probably spend more on gas driving over here and doing it and driving out. Is that a clue? I should set my Copilot 360. If this was June, we'd have another 2 hours of sunlight. Or July. So I think I resumed the broadcast. I must have went into a dead area and couldn't figure out, because I was driving, where I was. So rather than try looking at things as I'm driving, I decided I would stop. When I went into that valley, I'm sure that I lost my signal, but I didn't lose my stream, which is good. So there was some good lightning here a few minutes ago, but it looks like it's kind of dissipated. So that storm that started out south of La Crosse on the Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota border has only made it past Platteville. I mean, what's that? 15, 20 miles an hour? If you had a bicycle and you could have rode your bike straight with the storm, you could have kept up with the storm on a bicycle. And the one that started out in Albert Lee, like at 4 o'clock, has only made it just south of Mason City. And the one that was to the east of there has only made it to Waterloo. So there's some lightning out there. trying to remember how big West Union is if I drive through it to the other side. Or I could just put the back camera on and head north. I think I'll do that. Give the back camera a workout. That's the back camera. You can't really see anything out it right now because there's nothing back there. So once I get going, I'll switch to that back camera and I'll start heading north. I don't think anything's going to develop to the north of us. If nothing else, you can see the lightning out the back window. One time my daughter, she came home from Mount Mercy College. Of course, we're living in Winona. And she came home, and then we got a snowstorm. And I just bought a brand new Ford Ranger a few months before that. It's like a 2001. That's how long ago it was. And she had to get back to school, and she had a Dodge Plymouth. We called it the Nasty. I can't remember what it was called. Dynasty, a Dodge Dynasty. And I didn't want her driving that back to Cedar Rapids. So I let her take my brand new Ford Ranger, 4-wheel drive. So it'd been about a week. And I'm like, I want my truck back. So I met her here in West Union. And she drove the truck up to here, and I drove down to here and gave her her car, and I got my truck back. But a lot of people are like, you let your daughter take your brand new truck to school? I'm like, well, the roads weren't the best. And I told her, I said, leave it in 2-wheel drive unless you hit a slushy or snowy patch. And then put it in 4-wheel drive, and then when you're out of it, turn it off again. Don't drive it in 4-wheel drive all the way there. So I'm sure that's what she did. Although, now that I think about it, the guy who bought it from me, I saw him about 3 years after I sold it, and he kind of complained he had to replace the drive shaft or something. And probably not related it at all to anything. But I just thought of that. Yeah, maybe she did drive it there in 4-wheel drive all the way. I doubt it. But yeah, well, I'm not going to sit here any longer. I think those storms are dying out too. So I think I'm going to get on the highway, and I'm just going to put on the rear camera. Unless you want to see the sunset in front of me. Because that's what it looks like. So you can watch the sunset if you want, and then I'll turn the rear camera on. There is a way I can do it. I can split the screen and show both, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So we're about 35 miles from the Minnesota state line on 52. This whole time, we really haven't been that far into Iowa. So, but I do have the back camera on, and there's a lot of black. If somebody get in front and behind me, it'd be better, but then it'd take the lightning view away. But there's not a whole lot going on. So I'll go back to the front camera. And we can watch the sunset. So thanks for watching, everybody. I know sometimes people dip in and out, watch for a while. I know everybody's got a life. They can't just sit in front of the TV all day. Well, I can. But everybody's busy and things to do. When I was doing my lawn service business, I'd come home, and if I got rained out and it was a good thunderstorm, I'd come home and set the lawn chairs up in the garage, and that'd be my entertainment. But really, we haven't, and the Winona area is not a good spot for storms. I've lived there for 40 years. I can remember one time we got a decent storm. And that one time we weren't even home. We were out of town at a band trip for my daughters. Yeah, I'll grab the wheel, don't worry. And we came home and there were trees laying all over the place. That's the only time I can remember there being a storm. And it was just wind. Blew over a lot of trees. So. But, like I said, we'll just head north here and watch the sunset. I don't think we're going to see much more lightning tonight. Pretty much got out of this system coming through here as much as we could. I was in the perfect spot. So it's not like I missed it, because I was right on top of where I needed to be. So now we just have to get home without running into any deer. A lot of times, like through here anyways, if it rains a lot, they kind of don't get out and get around. So hopefully that'll be the case. Starting to get kind of deceiving too, because the farmers are starting to get out in their fields, which means there's a lot of lights off to the side of the road, and you're not sure if that's where the road is or if that's a field. So we're going to go into a valley again here. river. So we come up out of stream because there's really nothing else going on. See what's been going on since about 3 o'clock when I started the stream. Maybe listening to some music and listening to some YouTube conversation. And I can't do that. I wish I could. Can't do that when I'm streaming because copyright. I did that one time. I played one song, and I got a copyright strike for it. And they're like, any money you make off this video is going to go to the author of the music. I kind of laughed at myself. Yeah, right. Good luck, because nobody's going to be giving it views of that many that you'd actually have to pay somebody. So anyways, I think everybody has probably seen enough of me today, heard enough of me. So, hell, we don't even know where I'm at, do we? But I'm on 150 north, about 20 miles out of Decorah, Iowa. And I'll be picking up Highway 52 in about 5 miles. So, with that being said, everybody, thanks for watching. Like I said, this is a hobby for me. I enjoy doing this. I'll be home by 10 o'clock, which is perfect for me. We're entering Winneshiek County, which is the last county going north, I believe, before you get to Minnesota. So I'm not too far from home. I'm about an hour. If you took 52 north and crossed into Minnesota, I am about an hour there to my house. So 52 would basically run to Rochester, but I go right instead of left, if you're familiar with the area. And I head up 43 through Rushford over to Winona. Not the greatest road, but it beats going around and running up the river. You have to go through a couple valleys, but it's a lot quicker. So, like I said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. And subscribe and hit that notification bell. So next time I go live, you get a notification. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week. This may be the last time I'm on until it snows. Depends on what the weather does. And if it stays mild and it doesn't warm up again, this might be it for the year. Unless I decide to hop in the car and go south. which I would like to do, but I just logistically I don't know how I would do that. So, oh, one more thing. Remember all the hurricanes we were supposed to have this summer, this fall? I can't remember how many they said there were going to be. 6 or 7 named storms. What have we had? 1 or 2? So, weather is weather. You never really know what you're going to get. There's so many different variables that unless there's something that's just stands out, it's really hard to predict what type of seasons you're going to have. So, like I said, this might be it for the year. So, if it is, everybody enjoy your Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, and maybe by then we'll be back at it again. So, we'll see you next time. Enjoy life. You only have one. Bye.